Hello and welcome. I'm Riz Khan. As the third anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine rapidly approaches, the war between the two nations shows little sign of easing. In fact, the knock-on effects of the conflict continue to have a geopolitically wider impact as some former Soviet nations increasingly distance themselves from Moscow and its influence. Russia's neighbor to the west, the small Baltic state of Latvia, has joined Estonia and Lithuania in officially cutting off its dependence on Russian electricity. The highly significant and symbolic move shifts the three Baltic nations from the Soviet-era grid they inherited more than 3 decades ago to the European energy network through Poland and Scandinavia. This latest move comes on top of Latvia's growing support of Ukraine through NATO, as well as other measures to protect itself from potential Russian aggression. Well, I attended the World Government Summit in Dubai, where I had the chance to sit down for a conversation in person with the Latvian Prime Minister. Evika Silia gave her perspective on the actions her nation is taking to strengthen itself against any possible backlash from Moscow, and how Latvians are handling a lingering time of uncertainty in the Baltic region. Prime Minister, it's great you could make some time at a very busy time for you and your country right now. In the past week, Latvia has joined its Baltic neighbors, Lithuania and Estonia, in severing ties with the Russian and Belarusian power grid. Why was this important, and how will the Baltic states guarantee energy security in the future?
Yes, it was a really hugest event on electricity. For 10 years almost, we have been preparing this, even maybe longer time. And European Union has invested more than €1 billion in this all the operation, because this was technically not so easy to be done. But we have been connected with Europe already before. Now we just get rid of this Belarusian and Russian grid. So it means we are more independent and more secure, and we will be now a part of Europe's electricity.
Do you expect it to have a major impact on Latvia, and what about on Russia?
It will have an impact on us that we will be able to plan our activities, because if we stayed as it was before with Belarus and Russia, we never could be it would never be reliable for us. They could always set some new rules. Therefore, for Europe, it's more sustainable and long-term our planning. So I believe it's better for our people's security, and actually for prognosis. We can now prognose how we will boost up our energy, what we will do with the green energy, and it will help with prices as well.
What was the response from Moscow when you decided to make this move?
Actually, we didn't have any response. We just needed to apply, like in any agreement, 6 months before, that we will be doing this, and that was this. They take it into account, never had any response back.
Some would expect Vladimir Putin not to be too happy, and there might be reprisals. Were you concerned about any reprisals from Russia?
There were some disinformation saying that there will be high prices coming up, and people were trying to, maybe people in Russia and Belarus were trying to scare us that there will be something unexpected happening, but we really did very well. I'm proud of what Baltic countries did together with European Commission, and nothing bad happened. So we actually were able to account all the risks, which includes disinformation, and we did well. I'm happy and I'm proud of what Baltic states succeeded.
Well, last November I had a chance to speak with your defense minister, Andris Spruds, and it was a good conversation. One thing we did talk about that he was concerned about was the risk of hybrid warfare, or sometimes called grey warfare, that Russia is accused of engaging in and increasing now, with damaging cables underwater in the Baltic Sea, possibly cybersecurity attacks. These are the accusations. How concerned are you that the hybrid war side is maybe cranking up against your country?
Hybrid war is actually a reality for us for almost, I would say, all the years of independence, since we got independence from Soviet Union, and we get used to it, but we as well get a good knowledge, and as Secretary General of NATO called it, hybrid threats are not just hybrid threats. It still remains terroristic attacks, but organized by some government. And this is the reality we are living on, and what it means to Latvia, to all the Baltic region, and actually to all the region, including Scandinavian countries. We need to be really able to detect where it comes from, what are the risks we are having, as you mentioned, with cables in Baltic Sea, with recent happenings in Baltic Sea. There was one cable which included Latvian cable and a Swedish cable. We didn't find any proof. Swedish authorities said there is no sabotage, but we know we have to be cautious, and that means we need to invest more in hybrid our capabilities and in defense and security.
Actually, Latvia had an issue with drones at its major airport, and I wonder if, from your opinion, this might have been just the work of individuals or actually potentially state-sponsored terrorism.
We don't have any proofs that it is state-sponsored yet, but yes, we are building up our capabilities on how to detect drones, and we all have to be aware, because now war happens in electronic field. So we are preparing our drones, we are preparing our preparedness and deterrence in electronic war. And that's why I'm here today, to learn about artificial intelligence, what are the newest technologies, how we can help our drones and our technologies to help our country's security and for people's benefits.
Considering you share a 300-kilometer border with Russia, in your opinion, how has the relationship with Moscow changed since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022?
We have been, I would say, if in comparison with our neighbors, Ukrainians, we share the same history. Now we have different presence, and probably there is a common future for us together. Because I believe we were more successful of being EU member and NATO member. Therefore, Ukrainians need still to achieve those, I would say, issues and political results. But with Moscow, it always has been complicated, but they're still geographically our neighbors. And Belarus are pushing migrants, illegal migrants through our borders. We have to build a fence. So we are defending our borders, and unfortunately there is no, how to say, progress in diplomatic relations, because we believe Ukraine must win the war, and there is law, international law, who says any country has its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and no one else can change their borders without that country's approval. So we are with Ukraine, and if Putin doesn't agree to that, unfortunately, we stay with democratic countries.
It's interesting what you said about the hybrid threat since you basically got independence. Some years back I was talking with the Estonian president, and the similar thing, and you know they had a fairly major cyber attack that pretty much shut down a lot of their country. I wonder how in these past couple of years since that full-scale invasion in Ukraine, how you and your neighboring Baltic states' relationship has changed.
Actually, for good. We have become stronger, and we are cooperating even more. And now we have become stronger within NATO, because 2 more countries in the region has joined NATO, Sweden and Finland. And definitely we are spending 3.45% of our GDP for defense, and all the Baltic countries are spending more. It means we have raised up our capabilities in defense and security. So there is something actually you can learn from us. And this is how we can detect hybrid threats, and cybersecurity is one of our highest priorities as well. But sure, in today's world, there is no way nothing will happen, but we are able to detect the risks, and our cybersecurity issues has become such a high level that they can deter and investigate very difficult cases, and we can publicly announce them for others to learn from our actually investigations.
Well, as you say, Finland and Sweden now are part of the NATO family, and Sweden just had joint exercises, their first military exercises with NATO, and that happened actually in Latvia, from what I understand. So I'm wondering how significant that was.
Oh wow, it was very significant. Sweden sent 500 troops to Latvia as their first mission within NATO. And therefore, really, we are stronger together. In Latvia, we have 14 nations working together within NATO, and we have built a good partnership within NATO countries. And I believe Latvia has a good talent of being maybe not a big country, but like someone said about us from Ukrainian government, but a great nation. So we are hosting 14 countries within Latvia of NATO, and Sweden just joined us. And this is a good place where they can practice and practically see how NATO operates in a real life, like not a game in video, but in real life experience.
And as you indicated, Latvia has made major commitments to NATO in this respect. How do you think NATO will operate in any different way under Donald Trump, who's expressed his concerns?
We have worked with Donald Trump's administration before, when he was previously President of the United States. So we already, how to say, know a little bit of this new way of cooperation. For us, United States is a very significant partner, transatlantic partner. And as far as I could say, all the negotiations which we have had with new administration now, they really value how we have strengthened our defense capabilities, and actually how we can be a loud voice in NATO. That defense is very important within NATO countries, with other allies. So I believe we will work on good cooperation even forward in future.
Donald Trump's second time around has been a lot more aggressive than the first time from what we see. What was your response when Donald Trump was doing his election campaigning and saying he would end the Russia-Ukraine conflict in a day? What went through your head?
I would say nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. And we will look at this as an opportunity, because we want a peace. For sure, everyone wants peace, and so many people have died in this war in Ukraine. Therefore, if Donald Trump can provide a peace for Ukraine, they can agree to. It's a good step forward. But it's very important that Ukrainians will say yes to that. Not someone else will make a deal. Therefore, everything about Ukraine with Ukraine remains from my side as a very strong word.
Understood. Now, Latvia has begun production of military armored vehicles. Is that, I mean, in response to Ukraine's needs, or is this also in response to Latvia's own security concerns?
Definitely, yes. We have actually been collaborating with other European countries for military industry, and we have found that we could be a good partners with bigger actually producers within Europe, who has a very strong historical already manufacturing how to say, characteristics, abilities, and we are now one of the suppliers in a chain of military industry. And yes, we are producing Patrias armored vehicles. Part of them will be sent to Ukraine, and part of them will stay with us, which can be used for our own security reasons.
And as indicated, Latvia's role in NATO has kind of stepped up quite a lot more recently with the potential threat with Russia. How is Latvia supporting Ukraine in that respect, for example, its bid for NATO membership?
We are supporting military, politically, by our NGOs, everyone, our society is supporting Ukraine. That's one big word, I would say. And we are giving them 0.25% of our GDP for their military needs. So, and yes, if they want to be a member of NATO, we will be there to support them. It should be in a way when everyone else agrees, because that's how NATO makes decisions. But yes, we will try to be like a negotiator in between the countries, because we really share the same history what Ukraine shares, and we really understand the culture. So we will be there to support them politically.
Now, a few moments ago, you were saying how in recent years the Baltic nations have become much closer and stronger. I've also heard you say you believe that Europe in general has become much stronger as a union because of what happened with between Russia and Ukraine.
Yes, I would say there is always some issues where, you know, politicians negotiate. That's the normal life. But a part of our main topics which we discuss in Europe is security. And I never have seen such a high priority before in Europe for security. But now Baltic states and the Scandinavian countries are the ones who actually are pushing Europe to make faster decisions, as well for reducing bureaucracy. Why we need it? Because we need to be stronger in our economics. Therefore, all the countries in Europe understand that we need to move faster for making decisions. And that actually has made Europe to work stronger together.
And is there need for a European defense minister as such, dedicated to this?
We actually have a commissioner of defense, and the one is our neighboring country, Lithuania. And Mr. Kubilius now is taking a post of very high representative of European Commission as a commissioner, and he will be dealing with defense issues within Europe. So he has to come out with agenda and proposals, and the most discussable topic will be the financing of defense. But we actually already have started to discuss within the leaders.
Recent geopolitical tensions have got a lot of European nations debating the issue of conscription again. And I know in 2023 Latvia decided to have a lottery of conscription for men between 18 and 27, I think it is. And then there was talk about also conscription, military service for women too. How has that developed, and how have Latvians reacted?
You know, it was really a historical decision for Latvia, and I would say it was not an easy decision, and we never knew how it will be seen in a public. But the first conscription went very well, and people who were called in, actually they do it first time by their free will. Now it's a lottery going on, and the outcome is really good. So some of the boys and the young men saying that those were the best year of my life. So those are really positive outcomes. But we are not ready yet for women. We will probably be able to discuss that question or decide something differently when there will be a certain time of conscription for young men. And only then, I believe, we will be able to discuss, is there necessary to be a mandatory call for women. But now women can proceed as if they wish so, and I believe it's a good opportunity for them to decide.
From what I understand, Latvia has an ethnically Russian population of about 1 in 4, almost 25%, isn't it?
I'm not so sure, but could be, yeah.
The reason I ask is because there's also talk about Russia trying to create dissent within its neighbors through its ethnically Russian population. I wonder if that has surfaced at all in Latvia, or what sense of unity do you get between the people?
You know, to speak about that, you need to understand our history. And our history is that we are Latvia and we speak Latvian language. We have our own territory. Sure, Russian nation is big nation in comparison to Latvia. We are 1.8 million. So it means we understood that through 35 years, when we became independent from Russia, we needed to integrate all those people who actually did decide to stay in Europe, to stay in Latvia. And now we are going through our reform process of Latvian language within all the schools. So it helps them to integrate into our society in Europe, because Latvia is Europe, Latvia is NATO. And yes, there is languages for minorities as any other languages, and we see the Russian language as one of those minorities where always anyone who wants to speak in such language can take courses. But overall, the school education goes into Latvian language, and that's my government has done.
I think that's reflected in actually many of the former Soviet states, the kind of evolution. You know, the far-right European leaders held a rally in Spain at the weekend for this new movement, Make Europe Great Again. Why do you think Europe seems to be heading so much towards the right now, and should Latvia be worried about such a move?
I believe, sure, everyone now sees we are living in a I don't know how I can explain the speed of information and changes, and we all need to understand as the leaders of government that we need to change. We need to change within Europe, we need to change within our countries, we need to adjust to new reality of artificial intelligence, for example, and digital data, because if we stay as we are, those new changes just will take place, and we will not be able to understand what's going on. Therefore, I believe, yes, we need to change as Europe, but of populistic movements, there always will be rising, and that's the reality we should live in. Therefore, the government should provide a good solution and vision for our society, how we can live in this time of change, because society always wants peace. They want something which is not changing so much, but therefore we need to change the systems for our society to feel good where they live and to feel secure and prosperous.
We discussed how Latvia has a strong history with not just NATO but the European Union, and I wonder what you believe are Latvia's priorities in helping to shape the future of the European Union, especially when it comes to the economic and security concerns.
For Latvia, security is one topic. I believe we have to find a solution, and we have been promoters and advisors for finding a European solution for security, which goes together with NATO capabilities, not like in a parallel process, but goes together, how we can comply together, how we can cooperate. Then one of the issues is stepping down these bureaucratic procedures, and our commissioner, who comes from Latvia, Valdis Dombrovskis, is now dealing with those issues for Europe to become more competitive, because I believe we have been over-regulating a lot in Europe, and this is something we really need to change. For us as a smaller country, it's very important, because so many bureaucratic procedures for us, it's as well huge burden, and we need to find the good solutions. And AI, for example, is one of the good solutions, and one of our Latvian companies are actually working on all the Europe's solutions for reducing bureaucracy and working with those issues.
Prime Minister, what is your vision for Latvia's development over the next decade or so?
I believe Latvia should be a safe, Latvian and prosperous nation who can live through all those changes of digitalization and artificial intelligence. So therefore, I believe if we can make a safe environment for our people, and you have to remember we are neighboring country with Russia and Belarus, so we always will be looking for safety. Then next, my priority is family affairs, because we don't have many people, so we need to think about families and those issues. Then economy and innovation. This is something where we really need to invest, and we need people and companies who can build startups, and Latvia is a good place for startups and fintechs. And the last one probably will be reducing bureaucracy, because to get to those first three ones, you need to get rid of bureaucracy. That's why I'm challenging those issues, and I really need support from my government colleagues and society.
Prime Minister Evika Silia, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Prime Minister Evika Silia there with a perspective on Latvia's geopolitical stance as a direct neighbour of Russia as tensions mount in the Baltics. We will, of course, keep an eye on that story. I'm Riz Khan, from me and the team. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.